Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday edition of the Paranormal Weekend Morning Brew Show. I hope you got your coffee or your hot tea or your beverage, whatever choice you want. If it's beer or alcohol, that's fine too, because we're all adults here, I believe. Anyways, getting to the point, I want to do the disclaimer and everything. YouTube is actually trying to demonetize yesterday's podcast. Because of my intro music that I use through Splint app on it's an app that you use. It's a video editing app, and it's free, but you have to watch the commercials to actually pay for having the rights to use the channel or use the app. And unfortunately, YouTube is demonetizing yesterday's podcast because of it. I've got a dispute filed with them right now, but I want to make it very clear to every censorship fact checker out there on YouTube and Facebook that there is nothing in my live podcast that they can claim copyright on. Nothing. Okay. It's all under entertainment, under the Copyright Act of 1976, which is known as the Fair Use Act. And it covers everything from entertainment to parody to education to research to literally everything. Okay. Commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, everything is covered under the Copyright Act of 1976 as fair use. So censors and bots, whatever are out there in YouTube, better leave it alone because you're messing with a lawsuit. Anyways, that being said, that's my disclaimer today. I want to make it very plain and clear. I might even post it a couple times on the banner down below, but we'll find out probably within the next day or so how my dispute goes. Anyways, I had a question for everybody. I asked everybody to do homework yesterday. Okay. Yeah, I'm feeling kind of rough today too, guys. I'll get to the chat here in a second. All right. Lauren, good to see you. Robin, good to see you. Let's see. 14 people. Come on, we can do better than that, man. Yeah, thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that. For entertainment purposes only. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous that they think that they can claim everything. And what it is, it's these so-called accounts in another country that are doing this and causing problems for people that really, Lori, good to see you. They are just doing this to basically be a thorn in everybody's side is all they are doing. I hope Elon Musk buys them all like he did X, and he sets them all straight and kicks the a-holes out that don't deserve to be there. And that's just my opinion, and I'm allowed to that, censors. Okay. Anyways, yesterday we talked about a lot of the strangeness. And I don't know how everybody feels. I know from the Native American standpoint, there is something to be said. We touched on it briefly yesterday about like when people see Bigfoot tracks end or dogman tracks end, and there's like nothing but open field around them and 2 foot of snow. And the tracks just completely end, and everybody thinks that they jumped into a portal or they just made themselves into another dimensional form to where they can't leave tracks, or they went from physical to spirit. And I touched on it briefly yesterday. As far as cemeteries and graveyards and burial mounds and sacred native lands go, we find that these cryptid creatures are often seen in those areas very, very often. And I told you that it actually in my opinion, okay, and only my opinion, this is not, based on anybody's, professionalism and all that. This is based on my experience over the 60 years, okay? Um, they are attracted to the vibrations, the frequencies that the bodies buried in the ground are putting off, the spirits, the essence of the body, okay? And I believe that that's what attracts them to Monica. Good morning. Candy, good morning. Demaria, good morning. Good morning. Robin, good morning. Oh, good. I'm glad everybody's here. And you know, to make that connection is pretty obvious, because when we do ceremonies to ask for protection from these beings, whether it's in a dark ceremony or a good ceremony, whether it's to purposely curse or hex something, the land, or that somebody is on that we don't want on there, or it's a blessing to protect our ancestors' bones and stuff and remains in the land, and the sacred sites. So it could be either or. Okay. Now, Melissa, good to see you. The attraction that they have kind of puts them to where a lot of the people that don't believe in the woo factor with Bigfoot or Dogman or any cryptid for that matter, needs to look at it in this way. And I want to make this very, very clear to everybody that is in this type of research and investigating, okay? When you're dealing, Mary, good morning. Dario, good morning. Good morning. When you're dealing with the cryptid phenomena, okay, and you're dealing with the woo factor, and you're wondering why all of a sudden the tracks just end, we have to think of it on the same level as what I stated yesterday. When we exist in flesh and bone, okay, and then we exist in spirit, and then we exist in soul, okay. Our soul goes to the creator. Our spirit goes to where we are the most comfortable, and that is captured a lot in the paranormal field by what we call residual energy. Okay. A lot of like playing a tape recorder over and over again. Okay. And it doesn't have to be just limited to one specific area. That recording can take place at the same time that recording's taking place in another location, because the spirit of that being felt comfortable. Okay, they felt comfortable and connected to that area, whether it's a building, whether it's grounds, whether it's, anything, a part of the forest, it doesn't matter. Okay, it could be anything. Val, good to see you. Twisted, good to see you. So what we need to think about is if a human is capable of having residual energy, then why isn't a cryptid able to have residual spiritual energy? Okay, to the areas that it hunted, to the areas that it felt comfortable, to the areas that it raised its family, because those are the areas that we would go to, that we felt comfortable once we're gone from this body and our spirit is in the world and our soul's in heaven. So my question is, why would that not be the same thing for the cryptid creatures? Scott, good to see you. Overbuilt, good to see you. Why would that not have the same effect if, say, Bigfoot passed away and its community, its family buried it in the way that they do it? Okay, which we'll go over that today too. I think a lot of people are misled when it comes to that. Bigfoot don't eat their dead. So let's stop that rumor right then and there. Um, but why couldn't a Bigfoot or a dog man or any cryptid creature for that matter have a residual energy to haunt a certain area? And why couldn't that be explained? Why people are seeing these things and following the tracks, and all of a sudden the tracks disappear? You know, and one thing that comes to mind, and I probably should have talked about this around Halloween because it would have been a good subject. But what comes to mind is the legend of Sleepy Hollow with the horseman. Okay, how the horseman was able to appear in physical form and then disappear in supernatural form. It's kind of that same way of doing it over and over again. It's a residual effect, okay? And it's just my opinion that cryptid creatures, Camo Dad, good to see you. Cryptid creatures have that innate ability to recycle their spirit into residual energy, okay? In locations that they, like if they walked through somebody's property, you know, in the middle of the night without nobody seeing all the time, or anything along that lines, their spirit would want to redo everything that they did in this life, just like ours do. And that's just another way of looking at the whole mystery of why the tracks end. There's 100 different ways you can end your tracks in the forest. Okay. First one comes to mind is a long pole pine bough. Back in the old days, we used to use pole pines to cover up our tracks. We would literally avoid areas that would leave permanent tracks in the ground. Because anybody that's a good tracker knows that you can track on leaf covered ground, on moss covered ground, on sand and loose soil ground. But on hard compacted ground, you're going to have a little bit more difficulty. Okay. So that being said, that's why natives would either use trees and go amongst the trees for a certain distance to make their tracks disappear, or we would take the pole pine bough and we would brush the ground for a good 20 yards to make them disappear. There's so many different tricks that we used. Okay, that's why we wore moccasins too, by the way. Nothing kept our feet from working in the natural order that they were supposed to do. Angelique, good to see you. Cynthia, good to see you. So there's several different different things, but addressing the fact that the tracks would just end, and that these cryptid creatures have the ability to go into a portal. And I'm not saying they don't, okay, because we all know that there's reports out there of orbs being seen with them, which I do believe that is either their essence, their spiritual essence that's with them, kind of like our chi, okay, and I've explained that numerous times. But we all know they've been spotted around UFOs, and people have said, oh, I seen it come out of a UFO, and all this, and that's fine and dandy too. I'm not going to dispute what they saw. But in those instances, I do believe what they saw was what we call a shapeshifter. And no, I'm not meaning a skinwalker. Okay. I'm meaning a real, alive, alien being that has the ability to shift shape and form into anything of equal or larger size than what it is. There are examples of these beings around us every minute of the day. One of them is the reptilian race, which we all know I have a good disliking to say the least. That's putting it mildly. I don't know how you all feel about that as far as the residual effect for cryptids, but that's where I'm going with this as far as what I've learned over the years is that if our spirit has the ability to go to some place and haunt it with residual energy over and over again, then why can't anything else that has a life force do that? Okay. And they do have a life force. Okay. And as strongly as they are connected to the environment and draw that energy from Mother Earth, that makes it even more solidified that they could do the residual energy. Now, I want to cover something too, and I'd like to know your comments in the chat. So if anybody, has a thought on that, let me know, because I want to break it down as best as we can. Okay. Thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, I just, it makes sense to me, because when we go on ghost hunts, okay, and I hate calling them ghost hunts, spiritual encounters should probably be a better way to put it. But when we go out for those encounters in certain locations and we come across residual energy, we don't just write it off as being, nothing, or being unexplainable. So it would make sense to me that since we can't, well, one way to prove that too, Cynthia, would be to actually try to do an EVP where the tracks end on the footprints of a cryptid creature. Try to do an EVP right there where they end, no matter what time of the day it is, and see what kind of possible residual energy you might get. And you can always go one step further with that and write it off as residual energy, by asking it a legitimate question for the immediate response. Okay, like asking it, anything really about why they're still here. Give them an intelligent way to respond to you, and if it's an intelligent response instead of a recorded over and over again replay, then you know that they're supernatural. Okay, in some type of energy. Okay. Let me see here. I'm going through the chat. Other reptiles are dead ones on a pair of boots. Yeah. Yeah, reptiles. Yeah, reptilians. That's about all that I would want to use them for, to tell you the truth. I guarantee that has something to do with a lot of the missing 411 too, and a lot of the crap that's under our feet. When people talk about reptilians living in caves and stuff, and Bigfoot living in caves and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if a race of aliens, say Draconan, have the ability to make Bigfoot look bad, or look odd, or look like in the woo, if you know what I mean. So, we always have that factor to look out for too. All my life, I've always felt something there and not see it. My dad's side, several brothers and sisters could feel something that shouldn't be there. Yeah, Roxanne, that is that's see, when we get those feelings, that's about the time we should actually break out like an EVP or a ghost box or something along that lines and ask that intelligent response questions, to see if it's actually residual energy or if it's, you know, currently active energy. Okay, to where it's not repeated over and over again, and that it is intelligent. It's intelligent haunt. I really do believe that at least 75% of the time when you come across tracks that end in snow or mud or the side of a stream or a river or whatnot, or in the along a beach, I really believe that 75 to 80% of the time that is just residual energy of where these cryptid creatures felt comfortable and lived their lives. Okay, and they're just doing what we do when we cross over and our spirit stays here and goes and does the residual energy thing. Okay, so that's just my opinion. I don't, like I said, I really want to know how everybody thinks about that. Angelique, if you could let me know, that'd be great. I watched a bull elk jump over a log and completely vanish. I went over and tracked it, and his hoof print never showed on the other side. That big bull never showed up in the herd after that. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Why couldn't there be residual energy attached to anything that has a life essence? Okay, and it doesn't just have to be humans, it doesn't just have to be cryptid creatures, it could even be wildlife. I mean, how many hundreds, if not thousands, of videos and phone recordings of videos of cats and dogs and coyotes and other animals, that aren't cryptid? How many of those do we see every day on social media? Okay. Now, if a cat or a dog is able to have residual energy and intelligent haunts, then I would think that cryptids would too, or any type of wildlife. I mean, it is what it is. And sometimes I think we label it too far from what it actually is. Okay, now there is woo out there when you're dealing with some things. Okay, I for one know that the supernatural exists. It is a very, very prominent part of this world. Okay, but it's not the only part and the only answer. So I do believe that cryptid creatures can have residual energy just as much as humans can, and regular domesticated animals can. Very similar. So I think when we're dealing with the disappearing foot tracks, that's what it is. So that's just my thought. Woo, good to see you. Yeah, here's a perfect example, Angelique. Yeah, my dog's print showed up after he died. So yes, they do have residual energy. Now see, that's because your dog felt comfortable and loved, and that place that you saw the print was some place that he enjoyed being. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. If it can happen that way with domestic pets and with humans, it can happen that way with cryptid creatures. Okay. Now, the whole burying thing. Okay. I had somebody say, oh, Bigfoot eat their dead. No, no, they don't eat their dead. Okay. There's a lot of mystery around water. Okay. And I'm going to put this out there to see what you all think. Okay. As far as water goes, we all know that it is able to be conducting certain energy. Okay. A lot of the supernatural and paranormal energy. Okay. We know that people disappear around water just as much as it is granite boulders. Okay. And we went over that yesterday with the whole granite boulder thing. I'm a firm believer that after my interactions with Bigfoot and my doing my humblatias and stuff near rivers and streams, and having that interaction with them at that location over and over again, I'm a firm believer that maybe, just maybe, Bigfoot actually have a way of burying the remains of their deceased relatives or family in water. Now I know that sounds far-fetched, okay, but hear me out. There was an investigation I was doing in Pennsylvania one time, and I was at a place called Walnut Creek, okay, and anybody that lives in Pennsylvania in the northwest corner, you know where I'm talking. There's Walnut Creek, there's Elk Creek, and then you have the peninsula and all that with Presque Isle, and there's Raccoon Park, and there's all kinds of different areas along Lake Erie to where waterways go to. My thing with the burial thing with Bigfoot is the reason they hang out around water too a lot is not only because water is a life source, but it's also a way for them to be close to where they can take care of anything in case something unfortunate happens to a family member. Okay. And if you look hard enough along waterways, you will find caves or alcoves that the water has created. And in those alcoves and those caves, you will find remains of animals. Okay. I'm a firm believer that maybe, yeah, they also bury in the ground. Yes, I believe that too, Angelique. But it's my interactions with them in certain ways that I just had a feeling that maybe they utilize these caves or these little alcoves along rivers and streams that are hidden to bury their dead. Now, do I have any proof of that? No, I don't. This is merely a theory, okay? This is not fact, all right? No more than it's fact that we know that they bury their dead in the ground, okay? It's theory. Everything we're dealing with right now is theory only. There's no facts, okay? I'm also a firm believer that if there's ponds or lakes around, that they will bury their dead in the water. See, for the longest time, everybody had this idea that apes, especially great apes and Bigfoot, avoided water like the plague because they didn't know how to swim. Well, that notion of not being able to swim has been thrown out the window because they've been actually caught several hundreds, if not thousands of times by someone saying they saw them swimming in the water. Okay. Take Vancouver Island for that matter. A lot of activity there. Okay. All those islands. How do you think they get from island to island? They don't rent a boat. Be kind of funny, but they don't. They swim. Okay. If you take a cat and you toss a cat in the pool, it's not going to drown. It's going to want to live. It's going to learn real fast how to swim. Now, granted, there are some cats that might not be as able to learn or adapt as quickly as others. You know, toss Garfield in a pool and you'll see Garfield sink to the bottom. But that's just that. They swim better than we do. Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing. They do a lot. They do everything better than we do. Okay. They really do. I mean, they even take care of their families better than we do. You know, you don't see a Bigfoot father leaving his children, you know, and I'm calling out all the fathers out there, you know, and all the dads out there, you know, that, you know, you need to be a father, not just not just, you know, something that happened along one night. Fluffy didn't get nothing, huh? The woods even feel different, huh? Well, that's your first sign. Yeah, but you can't use ground penetrating radar on water. That's the only thing. Sonar will work on underwater, but you can't use ground penetrating radar on water. You'll get a false positive because of the bounce back. Um, but yes, I agree with ground penetrating radar, you know, but who's going to think about using ground penetrating radar in a mountain area, you know? Now I know that for fact that some people have used it to uncover the, you know, the Mayan and the Aztec buildings and stuff and villages in Mexico and South America. I know that they've used it down in the to prove that the Mayan civilization existed in Georgia, you know, and I know that they've used it on certain other areas of the country. But you're not going to get a very good reading of a ground penetrating radar if you're dealing with a lot of hollow area and a lot of cave systems in the mountains. Okay. So either they're burying their dead in the alcoves and the cave systems along waterways, which includes lakes and rivers and streams and ponds, or they're burying them deep in the cave systems underneath our feet. Okay. And neither one of those scenarios are going to be good for LiDAR. So that's you know, just my opinion, but that's just my opinion, and that's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. So, but you know, you all know me. I try to give you as fair and impartial, you know, and up to date information as I can. So, and I trust me, I think about this stuff all the time. I mean, I'm forever on my computer or my phone doing research. I'm forever, thinking about it when I walk around outside and stuff, and just, certain things. Oh man, let me go back here. Yeah, LiDAR can be done from an airplane, so see, Kyle knows that the eyes have it. Oh, new member. Oh, look
I
at
don't know who
that.
that is.
Look at that.
Well, I was waiting on everything to fire up. I had to jump in and do something real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a little rough today myself. So, but we were just
I just
talking
got out
about
of the woods.
Bigfoot. Yeah, Bigfoot and residual energy and stuff like that, and how foot tracks end all of a sudden. And I don't know if you heard most of it, but basic rundown. Paranormal Bigfoot stuff. I got to get more coffee. Hold on. Oh. Nectar of the gods. That's what coffee is, everybody. It's the elixir of life. The elixir of my life. So what do you think, Eric? Uh-oh, he froze up. He froze up. And he's gone. Well, Eric, thank you for tuning in. All right. He'll be right back, folks. He's probably having to change over the internet. Yeah, intuition rules. You're right, Robin. You're absolutely right. And camo's my favorite color. There's Eric. Be right back. Oh, man. Oh, look at that. His computer shut down for some reason. Well, when I started mine this morning, I had an updated browser version. So it took me about an extra 10 minutes to even log in and get it running. So that's probably what it is. But yeah, camo is pretty cool. As you can see, I don't have it on right now, but I do have a lot of camo. Ask Tracy, she'll tell you. I've been looking for Jacob like a Christmas gift for Jacob. Tracy's our little boy, a little four-legged boy, a camo jacket. For him for the winter time with the hood and the fur around the hood. And just camo. I thought that would be cool to get for him. So I'm still looking. I looked on Chewy and I haven't looked on Amazon though for it. I'll have to look on Amazon. But the powers that be don't want Eric's talking today. Yeah. Another thing too, though, that it could be too, and we touched on it yesterday on yesterday's morning program too, is the fact that it could be also that they're burying their deceased loved ones under stuff that can't be moved, like large trees that have fallen down in the woods covered by debris, large boulders that can't be moved. Because we all know, we've all heard the stories of Bigfoot picking up heavy equipment and throwing it, and 55-gallon drums of oil and throwing them hundreds of feet. There's no reason why it couldn't pick up a 1-ton boulder and move it, bury their dead, and then place the boulder back over top of where they buried their dead. Think about it, you know? It's a thought. Yes. Hey, Richard, good to see you. It's a thought. I mean, it's just, you know, I'm just trying to expand on the whole burial thing for Bigfoot, you know, because I really do believe that there's more to it than that. That they're actually so intelligent that they're able to keep the remains of their deceased ones. Good morning, Cryptid Huntress. Jessica, good to see you. They're able to keep the remains of their loved ones away from being found. And you would think, with all this great technology that the humanity has developed over the ages, that we would have found something by now. And we haven't. Think about that. We haven't. I mean, it makes sense. It really does. When you think about it, it really does make sense. You know, that it's an object that they can move, but they know that puny little humans aren't going to be able to pick it up and move it themselves. And why would we look under a boulder anyways? Or a huge redwood tree or something, you know, that's fallen. Why would we? We wouldn't. And humanity, if they wanted to put a road through there or build upon it, all they're going to do is move the debris out of the way, level the ground. They're not going to dig down in to see what's under the ground. You know, when they build roads, that's all they do. They remove the debris, they bring in the bulldozer, flatten the land, and put down the concrete or the blacktop, and, you know, or gravel, and start with that. You know, there's so many things. Okay, good, Robin. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, they do. And Jacob's getting old too. He's not a spring chicken anymore. So, and don't mention that word chicken around him, because he does like chicken. You'll see the wolf in him come out. Trust me, I fed him this morning. uh, yeah, it just makes sense, Jessica. It really does, you know. And if you're gonna hide something, and you have the physicality to hide it in a very, very difficult area, the remains of a loved one, why wouldn't you? You know. And Jessica, I wanted to ask you too, since you're in the chat. I brought up the fact that Bigfoot, you know, and a lot of people say that, you know, the woo factor is a problem in the community and all that, with Bigfoot's, like the prints disappearing or stopping in an open field and all that, or in 2 foot of snow, and nobody can pick up the tracks again. They just disappear and end. I brought up the fact that, you know, if we as human beings have residual energy, and are spotted in places that we frequented a lot, or we enjoyed, or we felt comfortable, or raised our family, our residual energy would go to that place and like a recording play over and over again. Okay. Why? Also, it's the same thing for our domestic pets. There's video proof of dog spirits doing residual energy, cats, you name it. Okay. Even wildlife. So why wouldn't Bigfoot, or any cryptid for that matter, not have a spirit in them that would want to stay in the area where either they lived and enjoyed life, or they traveled frequently and enjoyed walking it, where they raised their children? Why wouldn't their residual energy want to be attached to that area or that location, and that be why the tracks end? It's like you take baby powder on a ghost investigation, and you lay baby powder on a desktop or a dresser, okay, or a nightstand, and you put an object in the center of it, and you ask the spirits to move that object, and you come back 2 hours later, and you see all kinds of fingerprints and finger slides and all that, and the objects moved 6 inches. It's the same principle. If spirit can leave tracks in baby powder, then spirits of cryptids can leave and end tracks in snow and mud and soft ground to where they wouldn't be seen anywhere else around. It would make sense. It's just, residual energy. If we can do it and domestic pets can do it, then I would think cryptid creatures can do it too. It's what we call a fact of life. So, no, here he is. We'll see if we can get him to come on. There he is.
We'll try this again. This damn thing just shut all the way down. Said we found an error, and Bob's your uncle. Goodbye. I don't know what the hell happened.
Good morning, Uncaged. Yeah, it's a conspiracy theory. And Angelique, you're right. It does explain why you find boulders in odd places. It really does. So.
Hello, bud. Yes, I know. Sorry, I'm being loved on by a murderous little black lab bird dog mix right now. Yes, oh, buddy, I'm a show.
Yeah, and then I like what Camo Dad says here, and what's about that right there is one. When we lose a loved one, we miss them. We mourn them. Okay. And sometimes in our lives, when we go to certain areas where they passed, it's difficult for us, and we get upset and we get angry and frustrated. It's the same with Bigfoot. If a Bigfoot gets hit and killed by a semi truck along the road somewhere, and there's a boulder nearby, and the Bigfoot picks up the deceased love family member and buries it under the boulder and puts the boulder over it, and then comes back a year and a half later and sees the boulder gone and a paved road over where their deceased member of their family is buried, I think that would piss them off. So you're going to have a lot of negative interaction with Bigfoot in that area. I mean, it just makes sense. It literally just makes sense to me. So I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Well, I said it in the comments earlier when I was trying to reboot. Look how many times they've overturned a boulder and found a strange skeleton under it. So, I mean, I've always been of that theory that I believe that is one way that they did it. I mean, you also got to think, too. Look how many times our ancestors alone have used bones of loved ones for one thing or another, either as a talisman or as a tool or something. They repurpose things. Could that be what's going on as well? Absolutely a possibility. The other big one that I'm into, I'm really into, is I think they probably go way back into caves, and that could be
Mhm.
another thing too.
Yep, and that goes along with the water too, with the caves too, and
Mhm.
the alcoves that we find
Yeah.
along ponds and lakes and all that, and even the Great Lakes,
Hmm.
and rivers. You're always going to be able to find a certain alcove or a cave system along a body of water. It may take you some time to find it, but they are there. So
Why the hell is that thing all the way up again? I just,
I agree
man,
with you.
this
As a matter
computer.
of fact, we are
There
investigating a
we go.
cave in Tennessee, and a giant figure as tall as the inside of the cave showed up on the SLS camera and interacted with
Mhm.
us. Maybe a Bigfoot. Yes, that's true, Jessica. That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Well, looking at what was that TV show, Bigfoot or Hunting Bigfoot or something like that, or no, I'm sorry, it was a Josh Gates episode, and they were in this old mine, and they had this I can't remember what device it was, but it picked up a very large figure in front of them, and they couldn't see it with the naked eye, but this figure ended up coming past them. Now they want to say that's oh, Larry, you're awesome, dude. Thank you for that. Larry gifted 5
Oh,
podcast
thank
channel
you, Larry.
membership. Judy,
Thank you,
congratulations.
Larry.
Gemini, congratulations. Hey, my other half, congratulations. Wizard Moon, congratulations. And Moon at Noon, congratulations. You are the proud recipients of Larry's gift.
Thank you, Larry. You're awesome, brother. You are definitely awesome.
Heck yeah. So, but they were doing this show. Now, do I think that was a flesh and blood Bigfoot? No, I don't think it was. Even though they thought it was, I
Right.
don't. This is something that Jessica and me touched on one time. Because we asked that someone in the chat had asked that question. Um,
Sorry,
could
I'm
there
pouring.
be ghosts of Bigfoot? And I absolutely believe that there could be. They're flesh and blood creatures, the same as us. They have a soul, the same as us. I mean, I'm a firm
Yeah.
believer in that. So
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer they actually have spirits. I believe what they caught on there was a ghost of a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
My opinion, my theory, but that's what I believe.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's it's really something to do because a lot of people are questioning the whole woo factor. Okay. And I think that they're just looking at it in the wrong manner all the time. A lot of times sometimes maybe it is portals. I'm not saying portals don't exist. We all know they do. They exist right here on our own
Mm-hmm.
property. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also thinking, it makes more sense to me that you're dealing with residual energy when you find the end of footprint tracks in the middle of
Mm-hmm.
an open field in the middle of winter in 2 foot of snow. You know, it to me it makes more sense that it's like a residual energy, like a haunt, just like putting down baby powder when you're doing a ghost investigation, like I explained earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to me it
Yeah, or
makes sense. You know, ghosts can leave
this
prints and tracks, so why can't residual energy of Bigfoot?
this is another way you find paranormal stuff when you don't normally see them. If I can get to work right, is this little laser grid right here? They'll
Yeah.
pick up things you can't see with the naked eye, or even the camera can't pick up. You'll pick it up in that little grid thing right there. As far as the footprint stopping, I believe there's several possibilities for it to happen. I believe your opinion on it, I believe, has got a lot of merit. I mean, that is a damn good possibility. Is the possibility of them backtracking in there? Yeah, I've seen enough, wildlife backtrack before. I believe they can do that. Did they go up in a tree? Depending on the area, yeah, they very well could have hopped up in a tree. I mean, all three of those theories are extremely possible in a situation like that, and you can't discount paranormal stuff doing it. Look how many encounters you hear about around the world in paranormal alone, where they're finding footprints in wet stuff or in baby powder or in the road, and nothing is there.
Exactly.
I mean, you cannot count that out.
Yep. Yep. And the more I think about the whole burial thing, and I forget who started that crap with Bigfoot eat their dead. I think it was in a movie, and then somebody just picked it up and ran with it on social media.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous to even assume that. There's no more than there's literally no proof out there right now to say that Bigfoot actually uses humans as prey animal. I mean, I have yet to encounter that in my 60 years. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know.
Under certain circumstances, can I see that being a possibility? Yes, it was that way even with our ancestors during certain instances when food was like extremely scarce, and you just had someone, visit the afterlife. Could I see something like that being a possibility? Yeah, I can see something like that being a possibility. Can I see it being a every time ritual? No, I really can't. I think it really has to be the cards have to play right, if that makes sense. I mean, they really. I don't know, man. I can't really fully subscribe to that theory that they eat their dead. Thanks,
Yeah.
Kyle. Yeah, I just got out of the deer woods. Man, I don't know what it has been. Yesterday and today, man, my woods have just felt really, really off. There's got to be a big predator in the area. Considering, I mean, you guys have seen the videos. I post them. I'm chock full of deer, and I haven't seen I seen 3 yesterday that I couldn't get a good beat on. That's absolutely nothing today. Not even birds and squirrels, which is weird. Birds and squirrels. I don't know how many times I've missed a deer because I love watching the birds and the squirrels do their thing in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I am. But I mean, I'm not even finding them. I don't know. There's got to be something in the area. Yeah,
empty.
I know. I'm on my last few sips as it is myself. But no, I mean, so yeah, I mean, you're I agree with you on a lot of the points that you're making on that. And it's true. There's no experts. We don't know. We just know the stories that our ancestors have told about these things. That's the only thing we really have to go off of. I mean, it's a
Hobbit brings up a good point. There are still human cultures out there that do that. Take for instance that one missionary guy went to that one island out in the Pacific, and the native people don't like strangers being on their island, and they pretended to be nice to the guy and let him come ashore, and they killed him and ate him. And here he was the missionary, and he was a young man, So I forget what island it was, but it was in the Pacific. But yeah, there are cultures out there that still eat human. So
yeah,
I guess it's because we taste like pig.
Yeah, gotta love the long pork, baby. I mean, so I can't dismiss that they don't do that. I need more evidence for me to really jump on board with that, if that makes sense. In my research and my studies and things I've seen, I've not seen enough to actually suggest that. Man, this must be important if he's blowing my phone up. Okay, good. Never mind. So I don't know. Right now I'm just not on that bandwagon. I'm on the bandwagon of under an extreme situation. Yes.
Yeah.
all the time? Don't know. I don't think so. Because I think I mean, look, Native Americans, they call them the elder big brother, the first beings. You know, that would tell you that they're very much like us. And the fact that if you listen to the Native Americans tells about dealings with them, they played games with them, they hunted with them, they traded with them, they warred with them. I mean, they
Right.
done all this stuff with these things. And if you hear the stories, how they lived was very similar to how, I mean, a lot more primitive than our Native American ancestors were, but it was the same way in an instant. You know, kind of like the Native Americans' ancestors, they lived kind of in that same way as well. So, you know, they very much can have a lot of humanistic qualities to them. And I would say that they probably honor, just like our ancestors did. They honored our dead, you know, our fallen.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. I don't know. Those are just a couple things I wanted to talk about this morning because I thought it was interesting. Because I see people talking all the time on social media and all that about the woo factor and all that with, Bigfoot and how it's there's no evidence of it and all this. Well, the evidence is right in front of our face. We just
Yeah.
don't see it. You know, if humans can have residual energy and intelligent haunts, then anything with a spirit and a soul can do the same thing, including domestic pets, okay, wildlife, and cryptid creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Prove me wrong, prove me wrong. That's all I say. I twisted. Prove me wrong.
Any
So,
true woodsman will tell you the same thing that I'm about to tell you now. Anybody who knows anything about wildlife and woods is going to tell you this. If you leave a bone on the ground in the woods, you're lucky if that thing lasts a month
yep.
because you got all sorts of things that want that ivory. That ivory has a lot of nutrients in it. One of the biggest ones is your dang rats and your mice. They love that stuff. That's why it's so hard to find sheds, is because the mice and the rats get to it before the humans can. That's why you
Yeah.
don't find thousands or millions upon millions of deer sheds. They get eaten. It's
Right.
bone. The calcium, exactly right, Kyle. The calcium in it, that has got so much going on there. Yeah, squirrels
Yep.
too. That's another. I forgot. Thank you, Campbell. Dad, squirrels is another good one. They love that stuff. Uncut, you're absolutely right. Bigger prey animals bust them bones open for marrow. You know, another thing is too, look how long bones last if you bury them in the earth and you don't cover them with anything. It's just straight bone. They don't last long. Under certain circumstances, it will. If they're buried in like a clay substance, they'll last a lot longer because that clay is like a barrier for them, a shield.
Cool.
So yes, bone will last a long time in clay, but you get
That's
good
why
dark
that.
soil, and you're putting.
Yeah, that's why when you're on a dig site or an archaeological site, that's why they pack it in plaster Paris, any type of
Mm-hmm,
bones that they find because it'll help solidify the bone when it's removed from the ground, so and keeps it intact.
mm-hmm,
So yes, same
yep,
principle.
exactly, exactly. So I mean, people. So I'm very scientific when it comes to investigation and research, and you have to play that science into that when you're doing that type of stuff. You have to play that into it, like
Yep.
that, like the picture I showed yesterday. Not the footprint ones, but the other ones. You know, this is stuff we got to consider when we're doing these investigations or somebody has evidence. You got to put science into it. I mean, scientifically, I showed you what can be misidentified extremely easy. I mean, it even happened to me the first 5 minutes I was staring at this thing, and I swear to God, it was swaying. My eyes are so focused on that thing that my eyes started moving, which gave off the projection that it was swaying.
Morning, Jeff.
So, You know, I mean,
Yeah.
look at a bear. We know bears are in the woods. Who in here? I've lived in the woods most of my life, and I've been in either a wood or a jungle environment quite a bit of my life all over this world. I know bears exist all over this world. I've seen them all over the world. I've seen them in my own woods. You won't find the bones of them.
Right.
They don't last.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, when I take I take the leavings of what I um, collect during certain seasons, like what's going on right now. Yeah, I'm lucky if they last a week.
Yeah.
The only time I've had one last longer than that is when I had to do it right in front of my game cam because of, sadly, a poor shot.
Yeah.
And I think
Wasn't
that's
it?
because the AR lit up on it.
Yeah. Wasn't it Monster Quest that actually did a documentary on tacking a carcass of a doe down on the ground that got unalived naturally, and they videotaped it over a week, and within like 4 days, the main part of the body of the deer and everything was gone, literally gone.
I
And
don't know if
that's how
Monster
they,
Quest did that.
yeah, that's how they figured out
Sorry.
that those blowflies, a lot of the flies and
Mhm.
stuff, and the insects did a lot of the damage to the remains of the unalived deer. So
Mhm. I've never watched that show, so I'm not 100% sure. But according to Camo and Robin, they did. I know that because when I was doing forensics in college, because when I started college, originally I was going to be a forensics. Before I transferred schools and got to a program that I absolutely love, which was the wildlife management and Missouri conservation. We studied stuff like that. They actually have locations where they study that. And now it's used with some locations will use a mixture of a lot of things. Some of them like the long pork side of it. I mean, I've seen the videos in the time lapse and stuff like that all the time. They don't last. Even the bones do not last in that situation because there's so many things that like that stuff. You got to think the woods is an ecosystem. In that ecosystem, there is several. I mean, you're talking thousands of different things that feed upon what goes into that ecosystem. That's why something like that don't last long. Look at the
right,
evidence that DA and robbery had found. Hardly any. Yeah, twisted. I mean,
yep,
you also got to think too. What's a very good soup that you can make that has a lot of nutrients in it and it's really good for wintertime? Modern people don't do it much anymore, but it's called bone soup. You take the bones and you make a soup from it. It's got so much nutrients, so much minerals in it. It's extremely healthy for you, and it actually fills you. Bone soup.
exactly, yep.
Yeah, I mean that happens quite often too, Jeff. Absolutely. Didn't you once say you had been to a body farm back in the day? So yes, that was. I went to it, but I didn't get to partake in it. We kind of checked it out. Most of the time was on video, but we did get to go to one and check it out once when I was in forensic school. Good morning,
And
Miriam.
Miriam says she makes bone broth regularly for her dogs. Bone
Yeah,
broth
I
is good.
mean
It's
it's
healthy.
extremely healthy for you. Ham hock. There you go, twisted ham hock. Another good one. What is something that people love putting in their beans? I'm not a bean guy, but you take ham, the bone from the ham, and you cook it in with your beans. It's called beans and ham. Well, one of the key things is the bone. Marrow soup, Angelique, absolutely. Marrow soup, another good one. A lot of nutrients in it. My uncle used to be a bodybuilder, and that was his favorite thing to do is break open the bones and eat the marrow out of it because it's straight protein and straight vitamins. It was great for him when he was a bodybuilder. Most people use bone broth. Yeah, I mean, bone broth is really good. My dad wanted to go to the body farm at the University of Tennessee. He used to troll me how to better get go there and I mean, yeah, overbuild. I can see that a lot of people do. A lot of people donate their remains to do that stuff. But yeah, tallow is coming back, Robin. It is. But see, I mean, so you got to consider this when you're doing these investigations. This is stuff that our ancestors have been doing for thousands upon thousands of years. Some people still do it to this day, not to the level that our ancestors did, but still do it.
You all are making me hungry.
Yeah. But I mean, if we're doing this, yeah, I can't dismiss the fact that maybe Shiatonka's doing this stuff too.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
It's very possible.
Yep.
There's a body farm. The military runs near. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, in Huntington, Alabama. Yeah.
Yep. I think I know which one you're talking about, Hobbit. Actually, I'm very been craving beans now. That's not my. That's not my gig. I'll eat it if I'm hungry enough. I've got plenty of different kinds of food. I'm not hungry enough to eat it. I have ate it when we were poor and had nothing else to eat. You know, there was a long step in my life that if we didn't catch it, gather it, or hunt it, we didn't eat.
You'll eat your liver and you'll like it.
Yeah. I mean, I hate eating livers and gizzards. I think they're great for catfish bait, but that's about it. You're hungry enough, all that's going to go to the side.
Yeah.
People think you're full of crap. That's how I grew. I grew up poor, folks. I mean, I didn't have running here at this property. We didn't have running water or a toilet for a couple of years. We literally bucketed water in from a creek or a river.
Uncaged Savage says there's 16 ways to fart after you eat bean soup.
I'm not seeing that one. I just see 16 bean soup. That's all I'm seeing on this side. I must not be getting it yet. I mean, there's a reason why they made that song. You know, beans, good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. The more you fart, the better you feel. Let's have beans for every meal. Beans, magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. Let's have beans for every meal. There's a reason why they came up with that old song.
Yeah.
Oh, I love. Yeah, my friend works.
I'm having to resort to these.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dinner I'm making.
Yeah. Tracy's making a turkey dinner right now too, and
oh man, I found a way to make turkey that I can actually eat it. And I inject my own butter into the meat, and I inject my own butter into the skin. And then I wrap it up real good in aluminum foil, bake. And that is the only time I've ever been. Oh my God. Turkey to me is so, hey, Ida, turkey to me is so dry, it's hard for me to eat it. That's why I usually ground it up and make turkey salad out of it. So I can have turkey salad and sandwiches or turkey salad and crackers.
Oh.
So. But injecting that butter, you know, I'd mix garlic with it, with the butter. I mix garlic with it, and I inject that all in through the meat, and then I put it under the skin, and I wrap it up real good. Oh, they're so juicy, so juicy.
Yeah,
I'm
just getting a little short-winded here, so go ahead and keep talking, guys.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I haven't eaten yet this morning. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning out in the woods, so I haven't eaten yet. I've had my coffee, which is
breakfast of champions for me.
Yeah, I'll eat here in a little bit.
I hate these things. I really do. But it's really the only thing, that and soups are the only thing I can really keep down anymore. And you know, basically swallow anymore. So it is what it is. At least I'll be losing a couple pounds. So
That's not a bad idea, Roxanne. I've seen that. I haven't tried it yet. We used to brine our turkey, Hobbit. We used to brine it, but I was never a big fan of it. I don't know if it was the type of brine that my mom used. I just didn't like the flavor, and it was still really dry for me. Chipotle wakes you up at 4 a.m. Oh, insure's gross. Yeah, I've had it once. I was never a fan of it, but I'm not at that stage where I got to depend on that yet. My breakfast is mainly coffee or energy drinks in the morning. Weekends is normally when I eat breakfast. Although
Right.
I've got to the point where I've been getting them Jimmy Dean blueberry pancake sandwiches, and I'll have one of those in the morning at work. Or Coronation Instance, breakfast. Yeah, protein powder. Yeah, I've done that. Back to the cleaning, y'all listening. No worries, Twisted. Eric, you should taste the brine. The brine that my mom used to use, I was never a big fan of it. I was just, I don't know. I don't know if it's how she did it or the types she had. I don't know. I couldn't do it, man. I like turkey. I'm just not a fan of baked turkey in the oven. I like it grounded up and turkey salad.
All right,
Oh,
Camo
yeah.
Dad.
Yes, I do
Come
that.
on, Camo. You're killing me.
I do that.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah, I do that. I make venison tacos and venison, hamburger. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Maybe
You're
that
talking
was
food. This is really starting to.
Brian doesn't sleep. But, that could be Hobbit. Yeah, I'm getting hungry too. Like I said, I haven't eaten yet. And, my coffee was my brother and my nephew got out of the woods. So I went out to see him and said hi to him and talked to him for a minute because they got out in the woods before I did. So my breakfast has been coffee since I've gotten back. Elk is really good. I love elk. Buffalo, that's another good one. Bear, I love bear. Bear's good eating. Plant protein drinks are pretty easy on the tummy, William. Oregon organic.
I haven't found any. I haven't found any drinks as far as like Ensure or Boost or any of them that are actually easy on the tummy. Even the organic ones that they claim are organic. And as far as meat, basically gravies. When meat's shredded up or something along that lines, or just plain gravy, I can swallow that, and soups and stuff, and not a lot of and the meatless chilies and stuff. I can swallow that, but now then any more than something bigger than that, I can't eat it anymore. And they're doing a scope on me this Wednesday in the hospital, and I got a military buddy taking me. But they'll find out more after I get the results from that. I don't know if they're going to do a biopsy while they're in there. They might. I mean, they probably will, because it seems like every time somebody shouts cancer, they're always biopsying it to make sure. So we'll see. I don't know if they're going to biopsy the one in my lung either, but the one in my lung is growing very, very fast, guys. So it's already over 2 centimeters. So.
Hobbit wants to know, have you tried kombucha?
No, I haven't tried kombucha yet. No, I haven't. There's a couple herbs I've got on my wish list for Amazon that I want to try. Let me see if I can pull it up and tell you what it is here. Let's see. It is. Come on, phone. I dropped my other phone on the pavement and it quit working. So I had to remove the chip out of the old phone and put it in this new one here. And thank God I had everything switched over time. But all right, what it is called is I'll just come on. Sign into my account. Come on now. I hate these stupid OTP things that they make you do. It's a secondary security protocol. Come on. All right, it's taking its time. Did you freeze up again?
No, I was just letting you look.
Mm,
Hobbit says
There
that
it
kombucha was suggested to my other half by his oncology team when he was battling cancer.
Here's what it is. It's verde herb, sarsaparilla, and kalawa root. It's supposed to be good for removing cancer, parasites, and stuff from the body. I don't know if y'all can see that.
Hmm.
And that's just something I was going to try. And there's a couple more on here that I was going to try. But man, shit, that little bottle there. I mean, they want like $19 just for that. And it's like, I don't even know how big of a bottle it is. It's 2 fluid ounces, 2 stinking ounces. They want almost $20 for it. It's
Mm.
ridiculous. Then there's another one on here that, where is it? I got some colloidal silver too the other day. And here's the natural raw apricot seeds. $20 for a bag of that, and it's only 16 ounces. So, there's definitely money to be made off of this crap.
Oh yeah. Hobbit says also tried turkey tail mushrooms were a huge suggestion for that.
Yeah.
Overbelt says fendamendazole get that ASAP. The apricot seed and milk salt tea will do it. Got it gone from a dear friend of mine's lungs, is what Kyle said. Ivermectin is one I've heard a lot on, yeah. Every day, the other day as well. So yeah, Ivor's a good one.
Well, if anybody wants to look at that, and find out the what those herbs do on Amazon, just search Nighthawk and it'll pull it up and should show you on Amazon. Under accounts and all that. But it's there's all kinds of things out there that they say can help and all that. But you know what? When it comes down to it, it depends on what they find out Wednesday, guys. Okay. And I can't really not to sound, not to sound like I'm finished, but just to I want to wait until Wednesday and they find out the results of all that before I make a decision on what I'm going to do. I may not do anything, guys. I may not. I may just let it take its course. It Anybody that's gone through cancer, and especially the amount of battles that I've had to put up with, and all the things that go above and beyond even the cancer diagnosis, all the other ailments that come along with that, like the neuropathy and all that. There's only so many times you want to deal with that. And it's not the point that where somebody feels like they're giving up on life, because technically, what kind of life is that to live? You know, when you're constantly in pain and you constantly can't eat the foods you want to eat. You know, it's not a life. It's more like a long death sentence. And to me, I'd rather just not do anything and just see what happens. See what the good Lord will do. You know, you never know. Miracles happen every day, guys. So,
heck yeah. Oh man. No, I mean, we all have to make our own choices. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not going to pop that one up just because of certain, but I agree with you, Twisted. So, but yeah, it's I don't know, man. Obviously, things in nature have ways don't deal with what we deal with, so that kind of tells you something.
yeah.
So, I don't know, but no, I mean it's get back to a good topic, I guess. You know,
get back to the conversation.
yeah, that kind of. I was trying to think how to lead back into that.
No, just go ahead and get into it again. Where did Bigfoot bury their dead?
I mean, it really, I think. I mean, there's so many possibilities. I don't ever recall my research any stories from the native tribes talking about where they buried them. You know, I've just based mine off of what our ancestors did.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I mean I could be wrong. I've never heard it. You know, I've always said that, you know, I don't want a, you know, fancy, you know, thing that I'm never going to get to enjoy that cost me thousands of dollars. And you put me in a pine box and toss me in, or just put me up on a scaffold and say, you know, just like my ancestors did, or burn me on the pyre like my other ancestors did, put me on the ship, set it ablaze, and let me go to Valhalla. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, honestly, that's how I am. You know, firm believer in that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think it's possible they do bury him, and we just don't see it. And you know, because of several aspects we talked about, I also think, you know, the boulders. Look at that episode I did on the new giant discovered in South Africa. And if you listen to the depiction of the bones that it found, that doctor found, it fit Bigfoot almost to a freaking T.
Yeah.
You know, and he found that in a cave.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's I mean that's why I'm one of those firm believers that a cave is a good possibility for it. I mean, all these things that they're calling giant apes, um, you know, I think we're probably Bigfoot. Now, you know, I've said it before. Many other people's take it easy, Angelique. You know, other people said it too. I
Thank
really
you,
think
Angelique.
that we misidentified Neanderthal, and I really am a believer that Neanderthal is what we call Bigfoot nowadays. And now science is coming out saying, "Oh, yeah, you know, we're wrong about these. They're bigger, stronger, and hairier than we thought they were, and a lot more aggressive." Yeah, you listen to their depictions. You know, these things were 7 to 12 foot tall and covered in nothing but muscle and hair. Huh? What does that sound like? You know, look at the descriptions from witnesses. How many times they said they had so much of a human characteristic to them that they couldn't pull the trigger. The evidence is all in history and reports. You know, And that's why I've always been a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that what we call Neanderthal probably is Bigfoot. So I mean, look how many Neanderthal remains we've found.
Well, I mean, if you think about the comparison, for the longest time, they said the Neanderthals were shorter than the current human race that is on the planet, and that's not true. You had the Denisonova, which stood 9 to 10 feet tall. So, it's very well could be that the Neanderthal were big like Bigfoot. So very, very conceivable. So
your European cultures, Hobbit, are the ones that still have a lot of the DNA and Neanderthal DNA in them. More so the Russia side than anything else, but your European countries is most of them cultures. Yeah. Most of them cultures are the ones that still have the Neanderthal DNA in them. There's more than 1%. It pretty much covers most of your European countries that still have it. A good instance there. Look how many people come with unibrows or have them eyebrows that stick way out over their head, look very ape-like, covered in hair. I mean, I've said that for years, and they're just now coming out saying, "Oh yeah, well, it's because they have Neanderthal DNA in them." I've been saying that for years, and they wouldn't never want to say it. That's all part of that soft disclosure they're doing on Bigfoot. I'm a firm believer they're soft disclosing Bigfoot, soft disclosing werewolves, and soft disclosing aliens right now.
I think they're just trying to bullshit us.
It could be.
I really do. I don't trust the government. I really do. I think they're just trying to bullshit us. Make us look over here and distract us from looking what's really going on. That's what
They do that. Yeah, we know for a fact they do that. But I'm a firm believer. I think they're slowly soft disclosing this stuff because more and more people's coming out, and it's becoming they no longer have a grip on the topic like they used to. They no longer do. I think that 1% you're thinking about, Hobbit, is the Russians, because they have the highest percentage of Neanderthal DNA than anybody else. That might be the 1% you're thinking of.
Something we also talked about yesterday morning on the podcast was the giants of the Bible, and a lot of the kings in the Bible, and how a lot of the kings were actually giants in the Bible, like Gilgamesh.
I'm not talking.
There were several kings that I mentioned yesterday, and it's just kind of ironic how their names correlate with something in our society or in our culture as of today. One of them was called Ohio. Okay, spelled Ohiah, and you've got the state of Ohio in the United States, and Ohio. Think about it. I mean, there's that correlation. You have Ahia. Ahia in my language means no or don't do that. It was the name of a giant, Hiya. Okay. You got Hovad. Hovad is a Jewish word, a Hebrew word. Even Yahweh. Think about it. Yahweh, okay? Your way. There's correlations, and I know it's far reaching on some of them, but the correlations to what is around us every day, there is a connection, is my point. And there's a connection, and you can connect the dots and everything if you really take a step back and analyze it,
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've done here today with Bigfoot and the burial things and the woo factor. I think we really have we really have answered a few of our own questions that we had.
Yeah. I mean, even the Bible talks about how the Nephilim ain't the only type of race of giants that was out there. There were several types of races of giants. Nephilim was just one type of giant. I mean, Neanderthal, you can now classify them as because of the new thing that's came out about them. They are in that gigantic class. Now, to answer to Cut's got a question here. Was Samson a giant, or was he just a strong guy with long hair? I'm on the nowadays with further research. I am leaning more towards he was probably a giant. That's my opinion.
I mean, when you're dealing with people in the Bible that were heroes and stuff, and you're dealing with an aspect that it's the same thing in other cultures, just named something different. I believe that there's a correlation with Samson being a giant. Yes, I do believe there is that, but you also have demigods. Okay. Which were, half human and half, well, let's just say it, Anunnaki. Okay. For instance, the average Anunnaki was said to be 20, 25 feet tall, So that would make sense if it was, a combination of the two species. There's everything in the Bible. You can actually correlate it to other cultures and their gods and demigods type of religious beliefs. You got Zeus and you got Thor. Both of them deal with lightning gods. There's so many things that are they're just named something different. It's like the different names for Bigfoot all over the world, still the same thing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, and that's why I've said, I've studied religions from all around the world, and every single one of them but one, if you actually look at the core basis of that religion, it's the same. And it's pretty for us Christians, it'd be the Old Testament. If you study the Old Testament, you study all the old religions all around the world, they're the same. They're the same,
All right.
So I agree. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. And Samson very well could have been a demigod. Look how many times throughout ancient history they talk about demigods. And demigods are usually bigger and stronger than a normal man. Exactly. Absolutely, that could be a possibility.
Yeah, exactly.
They say the book as in supposed to be a good book talking about Neanderthal and Bigfoot compared. I think I know what book you're talking about. I forgot the name of it, but that's a good one. Yeah, I have to look it up. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Hercules, prime example. That's another one. Could Hercules and Samson actually be the same person? That's possible.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's very possible.
So many religions coexist side by side with each other. It's like I've always said, until the fall of the Tower of the Babel, we looked the same, we talked the same, we thought the same. Everything was the same. And when the Tower of Babel fell, God split the tongue and split the people. We looked different, we talked different, and we split up. That could be why all these religions are very similar. Now, could the Tower of Babel have happened a lot longer than what we're told about? I believe that is a very good possibility. Could the fall of the Tower of Babel be a metaphor of, say, Anunnaki leaving or the Atlanteans leaving? Could that be a metaphor? That is also a possibility. I'm not a 100% subscriber on that right now just because of my research, but I cannot deny that being a possibility as a metaphor. I don't know, but I believe they have actually found the location of the Tower of Babel. If memory serves me correctly, I think they've recently found the location of where that was. Asians don't. The Neanderthal weren't in that area. The Asians has got the least. The Asians have the Denisovan. The Asians have the highest percentage of Denisovan DNA. But the Denisovan and the Neanderthal bred together as well. So that could be why. I mean, so the possibility of Asians having Neanderthal DNA in them is very possible. I mean, it's well documented in archaeological studies that Neanderthal and Denisovans interbred together. You know,
Well,
Snow is a picky dude. He likes very, very few people, and if he don't like you, he's out of all my dogs, he's definitely one of them that'll definitely bite you. He's my buddy, so he's always up my butt, and I can, if he gets so depressed when I'm not around, he won't eat. He just sleeps and lays in my bed or his bed. He don't do nothing. When I'm home, he's alive. Yeah. Modern humans likely occur. Yeah, exactly, Hobbit. And that's why you find the highest concentration of Neanderthal DNA in Europeans. Now there is some in Asians, but Asians have the highest concentration of Denisovan DNA. Now the fact that the two interbreed together could cause a mix, or the fact that our ancestors were nomads. They traveled. So there could have been a group of Asians that traveled into the European side at one time, and they could have got it that way too. So, making cranberry sauce, grilled cheese and applesauce for later. Applesauce and grilled cheese, I'm good with. Cranberry, no. So that is a very good question, Uncut. Didn't Neanderthal beings begin to have modern human offsprings? They interbred together. So yes, they would. And that's why if you actually study that stuff and you study Bigfoot, you're going to see an extremely close resemblance between the two. And right. Look, like I said, look at your Native American stories. They're the ones that talk about it more than any other culture in the world is Native Americans. When it comes to Bigfoot, you'll find most of your historical research knowledge from Native Americans than you will any other culture. Now, the other cultures talked about them. Who is it? Who was Gilgamesh's friend? Enlil? No,
Enkidu.
Enkidu, thank you. You actually study what Enkidu looked like, 100% Bigfoot. I'm sorry. You study everything. It tells you exactly what Enkidu looked like and how he was and where he come from. That screams Bigfoot to a T. Right. Not saying it is, but it really screams it to a T. Yeah. There's a gunshot. So,
well, guys, I'm getting to the point where I'm not going to be able to be on much longer. Just think about what we talked about today, and do your own research, ask your own questions, and get your own answers, because that's the only way we're going to find out the answers. So, with that being said, next Friday we're going to have the End of the Red Rabbit Hole podcast again, and it's going to be about CERN. So let's make sure we figure out what's going on with CERN and see how badly they screwed up everything. And and then we'll do our regular Saturday and Sunday morning shows for the coffee hours. So until then, peace and love and blessings to everybody. Question everything. And Eric, you want to go ahead and explain if you're going to be doing a show tonight or what you got going on?
Yeah, so I will be a little late doing my show tonight because I got to take my daughter to work. But I'm going to be talking about the wild hunt. We're getting into the winter season, which is the common season for knowing as the wild hunt. I'm going to probably start out on the North Base just because that's my background. But I will hit the other ones because, I mean, even in Europe, the wild hunt is known in Europe. And the two are different, but they're very same too. So we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. I won't have a full 2-hour show most likely because the fact that I got to take my daughter to work. So we are going to be doing that tonight. I do have to change the music to my intros because I guess I'm getting ready to be a monetized member. So they dinged me last night, let me know this ain't going to affect, but when you become monetized, you will have to change that. So I'm going to have to work on that. I've got 3 out of the 5 reveals for the EVP videos done. My computer was acting up real weird last night. So, man, I was up till about 10 o'clock messing with that, about almost 11 o'clock messing with that last night, where I was like, I'm going to bed because I got to get up at 5 in the morning, get out in the woods. So I'm hoping I can work on that a little bit today and get the part 1 of the Pythian Castle investigation released to everybody. That is the full videos from the EVP deal and the reveals of the stuff that was not caught during the EVP session. So I've got, like I said, I've got 3 out of the 5 done, and then I just got to stitch everything together. So hopefully I can get that done within a couple hours and have that ready to be released at midnight tonight. And then I got to work on part 2, which is that's going to take me some time because I've got a lot of stuff we didn't catch from the rear GoPro. So I've got a lot of stuff I've got to cut out, move to the side so I can put it on the reveal side of that, which will be the part 2, the rear GoPro footage and evidence caught. And then part 3 is going to take longer because, me and my stupidity and rookie mistake of having a new video camera and forgetting that I have to turn the mic on this one, recorded, 3-4 hours of video stuff with no volume. So now I got to tie my 360 recorder in with my video stuff so that the 2 will go together. I'm not figuring it out. Plus, I've got to go through and watch everything on those and cut everything out. But on the rear GoPro, one of the evidence is found, and I kind of showed it on the show last week, was I actually caught a possible figure coming out from behind the window looking at me and then dug it back in. And on the outside of this window, we're 3 stories high, and there's no balcony and no ledge. So how did a figure outside the window come look and peek at me and then dug back in? So if you guys haven't seen that, that is on, I believe that was last week's show that I was doing that on, last week's or the weeks before. I think it was last week's though. So all that'll be on there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's good. That's good. So how's the books coming?
I've not had a chance to write here lately. I have been extremely busy, especially with going over this evidence I'm still going over evidence with the werewolf and Bigfoot and werewolf and dogman investigation I was on. I'm about 6 videos from being done with that. And on top of that, I've got this Pythian Castle investigation. I'm going through all the stuff on that right now too. If you are a paid Patreon member to my Patreon, it's $3 a month. You get full access to every bit of audio and video I capture on investigations. It won't be cut. It won't be edited. It won't be enhanced. It's raw, bare bone, as I got it stuff. That's available on the Patreon. So,
thank you, everybody. Thank you, Candy and Roxanne and everybody. Miriam and Hobbit and David and Savage and just everybody. 2A, good to see you. I forget who it was that said there's something coming that I'm not expecting. Oh, it was Hobbit. I said there's something coming that I'm not expecting. Well, hopefully it's not this Wednesday. Hopefully I come back out of the anesthesia. So we'll just not think like that. But anyways, everybody, I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling very well right now, and I love everybody, and thank you, Larry, for your gift today for 5 people. That was gracious of you.
You were awesome.
And everybody else in the chat, if you can like, heart, and share this out, because I think we put out some good information. And we'll see you all Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. Okay, on Into the Red Rabbit Hole. Thank you, everybody.
Peace, love, and blessings, everyone. Ooh, I blended in with my background. I just realized that.